Welcome to the Dysfunction Junkies podcast. We may not have seen it all, but we've seen enough. And now, here are your hosts, Chrisy and Kerry.
Welcome, Dysfunction Junkies. I'm Kerry.
And I'm Chrisy.
We got a good one today, Chrisy.
I don't know how you look at the topic today and say it's a good one.
Oh, it's a good one.
That one's going to be on you, Kerry.
Today, we're going to talk about what brings out the best and the worst of people and families. There's two things, funerals and weddings. And today, we're going to talk about funerals.
Exciting.
Like we said in the beginning, this is our safe space. This is where we talk about things. It's totally fine to express your feelings, good, bad, or indifferent. And also how we deal with a lot of dysfunction, trauma, anxiety, whatever you want to call it, is through humor.
I think that maybe these subjects come up because we think, how can I showcase how absolutely disgraceful and horrible Chrisy is?
Well, there's that too.
Yes. So thank you. Yeah. Because, yeah. Funerals. Love them. No.
Well, did you have a lot of funerals? Did you go to a lot of funerals as a child growing up? First of all, let's start there.
Yes.
A lot.
More than probably most kids my age. I think the first one I went to, I was like 6.
Oh, okay.
My grandmother passed away. I was 6 or 7. Yeah.
So your family toted you to a lot of funerals.
Well, yeah, because how was I going to get a candy bar? Because we had to go to the funeral, and then if you listen to a prior episode, I told you the superstition is that you can't go straight home.
Oh, and you would get the candy bar at the gas station you had to get out of the
car.
car.
If I'm forced to get out of the car at the gas station, yeah, a hush puppy. What do they used to call those slushy drinks?
Oh yeah,
a hush slushy or whatever the hell it was.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
With a dog
7-Eleven, I think it was. Yeah. Slush puppy. Slush puppy. Yes,
yeah, you gotta get a slush puppy. Yeah, part of my everyday healthy diet. Yes. The slush puppy and a Snicker bar. Thank you.
There you go. I remember going to several funerals as a child, but then there was like a big gap. And it wasn't until in high school that we had another little rash of funerals. And then there's been another big gap. But now, getting the age we're getting to, people are dying off. So there's funerals. Also that I work at a church. So there's funerals. So lately, I've had a lot of funerals. And that's what brought up this topic to my mind. Because I think one of the best places to people watch is at a funeral and a wedding. But today we're talking about funerals. One of the things I find interesting is, well, first of all, I got to tell you about this funeral that we just went to. One of the priests at the congregation that my mom and I would go to a lot passed away. And it was a very close friend of ours, especially for my mom and the community and everything. We were going to calling hours the day before, and it was held at the chapel where the priest was from. So we go into the chapel, and there he is laid out in the open casket in the middle of the chapel. And we were there early. We were like one of the first ones there. And so the family was up at the front of the church, and then, the priest was in the casket in the middle. And then the other priest was kind of standing nearby. And this priest is a particularly very close friend of my mom's. My mom has a little crush on him. She really, really likes this guy, in a Catholic way. I'm not saying anything else, but she just really adores him.
She has a lot of admiration for him.
She does.
Sure,
yes.
I understand.
So
What
did you say?
Like the thornbirds.
Like the thornbirds. No. So
bad.
But in any case, so my mom, given her state, it's dementia and everything, the filter is no longer there.
Right.
And kind of reading the room is no longer there. So we walk into the chapel, and my mom sees her favorite priest that's still alive standing over, and she says in a very loud voice, "Y'all need to quit dying. It's too hard for me to get here."
Oh my gosh.
Sounds like her.
DJ Nick says,
I see nothing wrong with that.
I wanted to just curl up in a little ball because in me and the priest that's still alive, were like, shh, oh, and we were laughing because it was so sweet. And we knew what she meant by it and everything, because it did take a lot to get her there. She lives an hour and a half away. So she had to come spend the night at my house so that we could get her up in time in the morning. I mean, it was a process. So we get her comment. But again, the poor family, like the 6 family members that were there, having this beautiful reverent moment, their brother, their uncle, who was the priest, is lying there in state in the room, and they're just all in total respect. And then my mom shouts this out, and they all just kind of turn around and look at us, and I was so embarrassed. But
well, that's why it's probably better to go to these, I guess, almost as a spectator.
Yes.
Because that would be fun to be sitting there.
That's what I'm saying.
Take a seat in the back and just enjoy.
Watch. Right.
Horrible to say that when someone has, passed away. No reflection on them. It's more about the crazy people who are around, mulling around in this room, trying to do whatever.
But that's what got me to the people watching, because, I was there to pay my respects too. And it was a very sad loss. And I'm so sad to see this priest pass away, because he was really amazing person. But because I was there with my mom, and it was really more to make sure my mom was there, I was there longer than I maybe would have. Like, normally you go in, you pay your respects, you go, pray over the body, and then you leave. But I had to stay. So therefore I started people watching. Of course, a lot of this is people watching my mom, because
keeping tabs on mom.
She needed to be kept tabs on. So then as we're sitting there, finally after, my mom was making many comments. I mean, that was just the highlight reel there. But there were many other things that she said that were also completely inappropriate. But again, everyone was so understanding of her and her state, and they just is so sweet to her. But I finally was like, okay, Mom, you need to sit over here and pray, say your prayers, So I got her calmed down. So I started watching people come in, and it's really interesting to see how people act around a dead body. You get the people who ain't going up at all. They aren't going to go up. They will purposely take the widest, farthest route around the room to get to the family, or maybe they don't even go up to the family because they don't want to go near or see the body. Completely understand and respect that. My husband is one of those people, does not like to go to funerals. I would be shocked if he went to my funeral, because he does not like, he doesn't like, no, I'm just saying, if I should pass before him, I would not be offended or upset if he didn't go to my funeral, because he does not like funerals. And I get that. Everyone is different. But then you have the other side of the coin, where you have the people that come up and they want to touch the body. They want to stroke their hair or touch their hands. And it's just it's like 2 complete worlds. This one gentleman, he was there to obviously pay his respects, but he was there also doing some things in the church. So every time he would pass the body, because he had to pass by him a lot for what he was doing, he would just reach out and pat him. Just pat him on the shoulder, pat him on the hand. It's like you're going past somebody in a ball game, and you see somebody and you pat them on the shoulder. Hey, buddy, how you doing? And you go on by. That's what he kept doing. After the 6th time, I'm like, that's really interesting. Thoughts?
This is a topic that you are definitely going to be reinforced, knowing what a horrible person I probably am. I'm just honest.
Your seat in hell is definitely confirmed, is what you're saying.
They already called me and told me. Okay. It's been held for a long time. Okay. In doing that, in touching the body, which I've never, until my father passed away, I gave him a little, before we left the funeral home, I did give him a small little kiss on the head.
Okay.
Which is something you never forget.
Yeah.
But in people doing this, where they're touching the body, hands and caressing the body, and I'm not trying to imply anything inappropriate.
Right.
Just, it's empathy. It's sadness.
Different people express themselves, right? And some people are touchers and some people are not. And that could be whether you're a hugger in real life or you're not. It's the same thing.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I get that. But when you're doing it a lot,
frequently.
More than once.
Yes.
In my opinion, are you checking to see if they're really dead? Maybe if you nudge them hard enough, they might. Is everybody sure? I mean, did the funeral people do such a fantastic job that you just can't believe it? This guy is, he beautiful, rosy cheeks, and I swear I saw him breathing. And somebody needs to come up here and nudge him. Nudge him. He's going to get up.
I did not think you were going to go there with that when you said that.
You didn't?
I know. I was like, Sometimes I'm pretty good at realizing where you're going to go with things, but you caught me off guard on that one. But that's true. It's a good.
Well, I just, and they probably, to give that person credit, they're probably not even realizing.
I don't think
they had
know
already
they
did it.
No, I don't think they. I don't.
Or
think
that
he
they're
did.
doing it at all. Right.
No.
Right.
Because honestly, the person that was doing this, is somebody who goes to this church a lot, and he is one of those people that, like, if you're in the pew and you've already went to communion and they're behind you, they're the one that would come and pat you on the shoulder as they walk by, just to kind of like, that a little hello pat, like they're in the communion line passing you is a sort of way of saying hello without being, that's exactly kind of what he was doing.
Well, I would have an issue knowing this gentleman or woman, whoever goes to these funerals, constantly smacking Bob on the hands in the box, and then they want to come past me and smack me. Dude, I know where your hands just stop hitting me. I'm sitting upright already. I'm good. No laying of hands on me.
That is funny. Gotta catch my breath.
Well, I just never thought of this.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You're bringing all this stuff to my attention.
This is why we don't pre-talk about things we're going to talk about on the show, because we want the actual reaction. So here we go. You mentioned something about like when your dad passed away, and you said at the funeral home, you gave him the peck on the head.
Yes.
Okay. So when my dad passed away, there are 5 of us girls. And my 4 sisters were with him at the moment that he passed. I had just left after being there for like 48 hours in his final hours. I had just left, maybe it couldn't have been an hour after I left when he passed. So as soon as I got the call, I went back, and it was only 10 minutes down the road where he was at. I had my moment with him in there while he was still in the nursing home when I had my moment. And I do remember grabbing his hand and holding his hand, and I gave him a kiss on the cheek. But then it was closed casket from there on out. So we never saw him. There was no more opportunity. There was no opportunity for people to do this drive-by tapping or anything. So it had been a while since
Look at you coining the phrase. A drive-by tapping. I think I just witnessed a drive-by tapping.
That'll be on our next t-shirt. So I guess that's why it caught me off guard, because it had been a while since I had been to a funeral where there was an open casket for calling hours or anything, because everyone that I had been to pretty recently, including my dad's, was all closed. Like there was no viewing, people may have come and they may have prayed at the casket, but it wasn't open.
Right.
So I think that's why it caught me off guard how much people were touching.
Doing this, yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't recall seeing this years ago, or is it just now that you've just realized it? Maybe you did see it, you just didn't think of it.
I think that, because the other funerals, I would have been much younger, and I think I do remember occasionally seeing the person, where they go up once, and you might see the occasional person reach into the casket, but it wasn't common. But this just caught me off guard because it was like so many, and then for this one person so repetitively. But it was interesting. The other thing I want to go with this is, so the next day at the actual funeral, okay, my mom is very close to this community where this priest passed away. I mean, she worked with them for over 50 years, and I grew up because my mom was working there, so I knew all of these people. So we're very close. I mean, it's more like family than it is just, the priest you see on Sunday kind of a relationship. When we were going, my mom was like, well, we have to go early because I need to sit up front, because she wanted to sit with the other brothers and priests from the community. She wanted to sit with them. So we get there, and of course, there goes my mom. There's the 3 other brothers and the priest, and that were the priest that was still alive. So my mom sat very first row, right up with them. They're on the left side, and then on the right side is the family and everything. And then again, the caskets in the center. So I'm like, Mom, you sure you want to sit in the front row? Oh no, I want to sit up there. Okay. I said, well, I'm not going to sit in the front row. I'm going to sit behind you. I sat in the row behind, because what was happening was, as everyone's coming up to give their condolences, they're making the rounds. They're going to the family, expressing. Then they get to the side we were on, to all the brothers and priests that live with this priest. And there's my mom right in with them. So everyone's like going through the line, and they're expressing condolences to my mom, because, half the people there probably didn't know who the heck she was, but figured she must have been important because she's right up there in the front row. Right. My mom mom, how sweet she was. But because it was, like I said, I'm not downplaying the relationship at all, but it also has to do with her kind of mental state at this time. But again, that social cue of maybe you shouldn't have been sitting in the front row because that wasn't your place.
Right.
You weren't second or third row, maybe, but not first row. It was kind of interesting. Yeah, funerals. So what's your take on where you sit at the funeral?
Well, there's definitely, I think, a need for family. First up, with a funeral, this is really more than a wedding, which is supposed to be a happy event. You know, maybe not my wedding for a lot of people, but we'll get to that another time. But most of the time, weddings are happy events. The funerals are very sad.
Yeah.
It's the end of something. It's somebody who you loved.
Right.
Who was important in your life. And there's really not a whole lot to joke about. So when I make fun of some things here, or light,
right.
It's not of the loss.
Right. Oh, that's absolutely right.
It's of how we are so ridiculous about how we act sometimes at these things. And it's probably, I'll go one further and say, I can't even fully blame some of these people for acting the way they do, because emotion will make you do things. And
yes.
They said irrational. I read something somewhere. Oh, Chrissy read something. Bad idea. Irrational thought in the brain is faster than rational thought.
Oh, that's a really good thought.
And so you'll act on irrational thought faster than you will rational thought.
And I think you could use the word dysfunctional as irrational.
Oh yeah, and in general, a funeral is dysfunctional.
It's the whole thing.
It's it's one thing to remember somebody and have like a memoriam where you want to remember the life of somebody.
Right, you want to celebrate the life.
But to be honest, let's really understand what this whole process is. You are basically following some process, some tradition that was born out of a very, I would say almost, it came into its own maybe during the Victorian era. And if you ever read anything about the Victorian time period, those people were a little nutty.
I'm not sure where you're going with this. Explain.
As far as the idea of a funeral, the idea of displaying a deceased person.
Oh, okay.
For everybody to come and see one more time.
Yeah.
It's a very old-fashioned thought.
Yes.
And we're still doing it.
Yeah.
And, the Victorians, they were the ones that were cutting off hair and skin and wearing them in lockets around their neck.
They did their skin? I knew they did the hair. Skin?
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. Don't quote me on that one. The hair for sure.
The hair for sure, yes.
And, the women wearing black for a very long year or whatever. And the traditions, the social expectations.
Right.
So to me, it seems very almost, I don't know what to say, barbaric, not
archaic.
Barbaric, but archaic to have this kind of ritual.
So that brings up a really good point. At what point is it almost disrespectful to go to a funeral because you haven't been in or around or involved in that person's life?
I have something to comment on that, and it's kind of funny. And I don't mean any disrespect to the people who maybe consider themselves part of this group, but I have referred to them in the past as funeral groupies.
Oh, yeah.
There are some people who, even if they didn't really know the person who passed away, they knew somebody who somebody knew that somebody knew that somebody knew.
Or they met once.
And they met once.
Right.
They got to come in a little group, and they're going. It's a social event.
But it's also, it makes it about them and not about the person.
Correct.
And I think that this is where, when my father died, I mean, there was a lot of trauma around my father's death. I mean, that we could have like 6 episodes about that. I'll try to do the Reader's Digest version of it. Basically, what really got me about my father's death is how people showed up. And you want to talk about being annoyed or agitated? I was annoyed and agitated about certain people that showed up in his final hours. And one, it was like, where have you been the last however many years?
Oh, yeah.
So why do you feel you should be in the room right now? I don't care what your blood relation or no blood relation is. Just because you're blood related, you haven't been here. So why should you be here now? And then what really got me was they're having like social hour.
Well, that's what it is. It's a social event.
They're just all sharing stories and they're talking away
because
and they're
they
laughing.
figure-
And it's like, excuse me, I'm here with my dad having these final moments. He is dying. I'm having to have these final moments. But excuse me, I have to block out your noise because you're over there having chitty chatty happy hour and catching up over the last 20 years.
Well, I think that a lot of those type of people do kind of look at it as an opportunity to see so-and-so. Oh, yeah, I remember so-and-so I used to hang out with when we used to hang out with the person who passed away. They might be there. I want to go there because I might get a chance to see them.
And then they want to come console you. And I'm just like, get away from me. And I say that honestly with as much respect as I can because I appreciate in their mind, they think they're doing the right thing. But to me, it was very disrespectful. Very disrespectful.
No.
And I was going through my own grief and process, and my family was going through. Again, there was so much backstory. But what really got me was a week after my dad's funeral, said person contacts me and says, "You didn't talk to me. What's up with you? What have I done to you that you wouldn't talk to me and you wouldn't talk to me at the funeral?" And I'm like, excuse me, it wasn't your dad that died. This is not about you. And if you knew really, if you were really that involved with our family, you would have known why I was the way I was. Going back to the original question, when is it right? So the other funeral that happened in my family at the same time as this priest, it was a distant cousin, a cousin who I have not seen in probably 48 years of my 52 years of life. Knew of them, knew that they were a cousin, maybe was a little closer with one of their siblings, but again, and so there was part of me that was like, oh, I should go to the funeral. And then I stopped myself after going to this other one and thinking about my dad's funeral and everything. Like, I think that would be more disrespectful for me to show up.
Well, you're thinking about it correctly. The most important thing with anybody is spending time with them, knowing them, sharing with them during life.
Yes.
When my father passed away, I do remember a lot of people coming to the calling hours that I hadn't seen since I was very little.
Yeah, coming out of the woodwork.
I was like, oh my, I didn't even know half of them were still alive. I was like, holy moly, look at who's shot. Gee, you still living.
Yeah.
Good for you, I guess.
Yeah.
My dad's not, but you are. Okay, well, great.
Right.
Funerals, I think that you have seen a bit of a shift in how they're done. I mean, because I'm sure you remember this for a very long time. It was at least a 2-day event.
Oh, yeah.
As far as what was expected of you.
Yes.
You'd have a 1 day of calling hours.
Yep.
And you'd have 2 calling hours.
Yep.
You'd have one during the day.
Yep.
And then you'd have evening calling hours.
And then sometimes even calling hours the hour before the actual funeral.
Yes.
Depending on where it was at, if it was at the church or whatever, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, those calling hours are certainly not to accommodate the person who passed away. They're obviously available.
Right. And they're not for the family. Because that's so horribly hard for the family.
It's very hard for the families.
Yes.
I would imagine.
Yes. Uh-huh.
But you're trying to accommodate to make sure everybody gets, it's almost like, well, if we're having a show in the morning, we're having a show in the evening.
Yeah. When's the matinee?
Yeah. In case you missed us. We're here. We're back again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's too much. And I do see a lot of people now having like maybe an hour prior to church service.
Yes.
And then the church service.
Yes. Then you got the luncheon afterwards.
Oh, let's talk about the title of those things. I wrote it down in circle because we had talked about this a little bit ago.
We did.
And
what do you call it?
I don't call it anything. I call it, is this cuisine going to be worth it? Because, yes, I'm horrible. I mean, again, just understand, I'm probably not going to a funeral unless I absolutely have to.
Right.
I am, and a lot of the old school people are going to tell you I'm just horribly disrespectful. You should be there. But I don't agree with that, and I'll just leave it at that.
Right.
I've been coined by, I guess, my husband's family, and it sounds awful. But and maybe other people out there, let us know in comments, please. They call it a mercy meal.
Mercy meal.
That's terrifying. Mercy meal. First of all, it doesn't sound like the food's going to be any good. So right now you've lost me. Mercy meal.
It sounds like it should be the meal beforehand.
Well, yeah.
The last meal before.
I know that if I don't think they listen to my podcast because I don't know. But if they do, they're going to be like, why are you picking at us? I'm not. I just never heard of it that way. And maybe they're just like, well, no, there's a lot of people. But you hadn't even not heard
I had not heard of mercy meal. I've always heard it as a bereavement meal or a bereavement luncheon or a bereavement dinner, depending on what time of day or whatever, or, a family, luncheon. But usually bereavement is usually the word that I've heard.
And so the mercy meal thing, okay. To me, and some people will say when they pass away, when they're preparing for their funeral.
Planning their funeral, advanced planning.
Right. Some people will be like, I just want everybody to have a great time.
Yeah.
Have a drink on me.
Right.
Party. How is it that you feel that way? Death is so final.
It's
it's an inevitable thing we all have to deal with.
Yeah, we're not getting away from it.
No.
Yep.
Having a party, have a party now.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you to go party after.
Right.
Maybe I wanted to come. Maybe I didn't. Chances are with me, maybe she don't want to party anyhow. So let's just party anyways. Party anyways, everybody. Party on, I guess.
But I want it to be people that really knew, love, and respected me. I want my inner people. But I think I'll be pissed off if I'm lying there. Well, I'm going to be cremated, so I ain't going to be lying there. So I'll be dust in the room. But
I hope they don't use you for the ashes when they can't find the ashes for Ash Wednesday.
But I guess the way I see it is, if I was that important to you in your life, then yes, please. But don't come to my funeral to make amends for yourself. So if you were a shithole to me and you were a jerk to me, or if you had all these ill feelings toward me, don't come to my funeral to try to make yourself feel better. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if I made an impact on your life, then I would love it. But, I just, the whole people that come, I love whenever I see a funeral, and it is truly such a celebration of life. And again, being that I work at a church, I've seen a lot of wonderful, amazing funerals where everybody that walked in the door had such a good story about the person that passed away. And I love seeing that. And to me, that truly is a celebration of life, not a funeral, you know? And I like that. But when I see these ones where it's just, I heard they passed away, and when did you talk to them last? Oh, it's probably been 50 years. Why are you here?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Yeah.
And
it's a whole thing.
And everyone's different. And if you're that person that needs to go, then that's you do you. But it's just, I found in my own personal experience, especially being on the grieving end, I was really bothered by the people that were there and made it about them.
Right.
Especially the after attacks of, why wouldn't you talk to me at the funeral? Excuse me?
Well, why wouldn't you even just take into consideration possibly this person is grieving?
Yes.
And everybody does grieve. Grief is very personal.
Yes.
And you need to allow a person to have their rights to that.
Exactly. And there was so much going on in my life at the time that my dad died. There was just so much. Funerals, again, brought that up because really in the past two weeks or so, 6 funerals that I was either somewhat involved with because of the church I work in, or people that I know, or relatives I know, or people that are close to me that I know that are passing away or in hospice or whatever. So I just thought that would be an interesting topic for today.
I just, make a note, because if anybody missed it, because you're so sweet and nice.
Oh God, what did I do?
Yes, Kerry did say the word shithole. I did that in my password voice. The word is shithole. Thank you.
Chrisy, when we have our next naughty or nice episode, she's like, I remember when you were naughty, you said shithole.
Yeah. We have a lot in this regards to this subject.
Yes.
And we know that most of you are listening in your car while you're getting somewhere, and not everybody's driving really far. I think this is an excellent topic.
Yes.
Because we still have plenty to talk about.
I know. We might have to do a episode 2.
Yeah.
On
And we
date.
can maybe combine it with something closely related to this, but just to give you a heads up on what that would entail. We'll talk more about mercy meals or bereavement meals.
Yes.
The hierarchy in seating arrangements for family members.
Yes.
Sparring and fighting at funerals.
Ooh.
Always a good pastime. And the cars, that car thing.
Oh, yeah, the
Cars
car
are
thing.
crazy, man.
Yes,
The
yes.
whole idea of flags and cars and lights, and
How do you handle that? Oh, yeah, this is definitely a two-parter.
it's a two-parter.
Okay, well,
But-
stay tuned.
Yes, and maybe Kerry will come up a new word. Join us again for the Kerry password.
All right, everybody. Well, hey, thanks for hanging with us today on this very intriguing
Please stay on
subject.
the road. Don't drive off the road and hit anything on purpose, because this subject was just so heavy. You're like, oh my God. We promise it gets better.
It gets better. So, all right, everybody. But hey, before we leave, please make sure to check out our Facebook page. You can, drop your comments or anything there. Wherever you are streaming us from, please hit the subscribe or follow button. That definitely helps us with our ratings. And what really helps us is any kind of reviews, especially those 5-star reviews. So you want to make sure you do that. And if you're really loving us and you really want to help support us, you can always become a subscriber as far as donating to us. So we have that click on button where you can either donate for one time or you can donate every show if you'd like to. But you do all of that from our website, dysfunctionjunkies.buzzsprout.com. All righty, everybody, stay tuned and we'll get back to you with more on funerals in another episode.
Bye-bye.